always be with you.
Hey, it's your girl Sanaa from So Crafty Sanaa, and as you can see by the title of this video, this is my biggest advice on how to start cash stuffing. I understand that this is a hot topic right now. Cash stuffing is all the rage. I get a lot of questions. How do I start cash stuffing? What do I do first? How do I do this? What do I do? Why do I need cash? And things like that. So first, I would like to say, listen, there are a lot of misconceptions out here. People think you have to have large amounts of cash in order to cash stuff, or they don't have enough money to cash stuff. And let me tell you, don't overthink it. You actually have more than you think, okay? Because consider what you already spend on food, groceries, dining out, entertainment, your hair, your nail. Think about everything you normally spend money on. Those are the envelopes. Those are the dollar amounts that you're going to cash stuff. You're going to put money aside for what you need the most. So my first piece of advice is start small. Okay, don't rush and feel like you need to stuff everything. You need to have a bunch of spending categories. Don't rush. Take your time and really think about, number one, why you're cash stuffing, okay? What are you trying to accomplish and what are your goals? What is it that you want to obtain from cash stuffing? Now, of course, managing your money, savings, right. But you can narrow it down a little bit more. Like, are you saving for something specific? Are you trying to cash stuff because you want to get over bad habits like myself? I spend a lot, you know? And so stuffing cash and spending cash only does control that need to just shop and swipe and shop and swipe and shop and swipe. You have to understand why you're cash stuffing and what are you trying to accomplish. What is your goal? You need to understand why you're doing this and why you want to get into this. Okay, so my next piece of advice for you all is, and something more important you need to understand is you have to have a budget in order to manage your money and cash stuff, okay? Your budget is going to determine the amount of money that you'll have or you'll need to cash stuff, whether it's your cash envelopes for variable spending or your sinking funds, okay? So more important, and in the next video, we will go over how to create a budget, and we'll use examples using the 70-20-10 rule. Me personally, I want to do the 60-25-15 rule. You can decide that based on your needs. That states that 70% of your income goes to major expenses that you need to live, okay? And then 20%, you could decide whether that go to savings and investing, 10% can go to debt, or you could say 20% goes to saving and investing, and 10% can go to yourself. You can determine what that is, but your money overall should be broken up into, that's one way to budget. There's a zero-based budget also. So we'll get into the different styles of budgeting and also how to create a budget in the next coming videos. But more importantly, one of my biggest advice for how to start cash stuffing is you have to have a budget in order to cash stuff. So creating a budget is one of the things that you'll need, because oftentimes I get a question, how do you know how much money to put in those envelopes? How do you know how much money to stuff here or to put here or to spend here? And that is determined based on your budget. So me personally, I take my income, I pay my fixed expenses, okay? And then after I pay my fixed expenses, what's left over, I will decide how much I need for food, gas, dining out, household, car maintenance, things like that. Those are considered to be my variable expenses. Now, after I take that amount and what's left over, I will give some money to either savings, paying off some debt, or I'll put more money into sinking funds, which are short or long-term savings goals. So let's get into the good stuff. Now, this is the biggest advice I can give on how to start cash stuffing. Everybody says this, okay? You're trying to figure out how much am I going to need for every little thing. So yes, your budget is going to tell you how much to stuff or how much you have available to stuff, but it doesn't necessarily tell you how much you need. Like, you know your spending habits, you know how much you spend on food. Your budget might say you need $200 for food, but you normally spend $400 on food, okay? So one of my biggest advice to how to start cash stuffing is you have to track your expenses. You have to see where you normally spend your money on in order to know how much you're going to need to set aside in your budget each pay. So for me, I took a good 4 weeks to monitor my spending. Now, if you watch any of my previous videos with my weekly cash and stuffings where I show you all how much money I spend and then how I'm paying back that money or where I'm pulling that money from which envelopes, okay? So tracking your spending or your expenses on a day-to-day basis Literally writing down every penny you spend and then writing down the category shows you how much you spend in a week, every 2 weeks, in a month, you name it. You could track your expenses, and then by the time that period is over, you'll realize I spent $200 just dining out. So now you know either you want to give yourself $200 in your spending envelope for dining out, or I got to cut back on that money. I spent too much money on dining out last week, so I am going to cut back and only give myself $100 to better control my spending and manage my money. You have to track your expenses in order to understand where your money is going and how to better allocate your money. For someone who buys lunch at work every single day, and let's say you spend at least $10 a day or $15 a day eating out at work, okay? You don't want to say, oh, I'm going to give myself $25 for lunch. Well, you're going to starve all week because you don't have enough money in your cash envelope. So you want to see how you normally spend your money in order to determine, one, how much you're going to need for that pay period in your cash envelope, or two, how to cut back on the amount of money that you spend in that spending category during that pay period. It is very important. And like I said, this is one of my biggest advice on how to start cash stuffing. It is very important that you track your expenses to understand where your money is going and how you're spending your money. Trust me, I have several videos, weekly cash unstuffings, and periodically during the week, I'll update my monthly expense tracker on what I spent today. Then I'll do look backs at how much I spent this week. I even have a monthly spend calendar where I write down every day how much I spend, just the total amount. Because I track my expenses every day, I can calculate and see what my total is I spend every day. That is for someone that gets more into it, but hey, it worked. It allows me to see I spent too much money today. I spent too much money last week. Oh my gosh, last month in February 2024, I'll put my reel right here. If you see this reel, you see what it says? I spent $9,000 in the month of February, and that was not bills, not bills. We'll get into that later, but that is one of my biggest advice on how to start cash stuffing. You have to track your expenses. Okay, so now that we understand what cash stuffing is, how to literally, get the foundation of cash stuffing, one of the things you need to do in order to cash stuff, of course, the obvious, you need to determine what your spending categories are going to be. What are the envelope names / spending categories are you going to be spending money on? So we can say groceries, we can say gas or transportation, we can say lunch or coffee. So I recommend, my advice on how to start cash stuffing is to start off with 5 to 7 spending categories. You don't want to overwhelm yourself when you're just getting into cash stuffing. You don't want to feel like this is a lot, it's overwhelming, I have too many envelopes. So one of my pieces of advice, like I said, is to start off with your spending categories 5 to 7 with the ones you need the most that you're going to spend money on while you're out each day. Okay, so a lot of times, people do Target, just giving some examples, Dunkin' Donuts, Starbucks, Sam's Club. Like, just think about in your travels on a day-to-day basis, where do you normally spend money? What are you normally spending your money on? Groceries is a given. I think we all buy groceries unless you live on a huge farm, which is one thing I wish to do in the future, but I don't. But if you live on a farm and you grow your own food, then I could say you could do away with groceries, right? You could change that category. But again, start off small, 5 to 7 envelopes tops, okay? So my next piece of advice on how to start cash stuffing is, now that you've determined your spending categories of where you spend your money on, we're going to start labeling those envelopes, okay? We're going to start labeling what we consider them to be cash envelopes. Now, cash envelopes and sinking funds, they are all envelopes stuffed with money, but cash envelopes is usually money you spend, your variable spending you're going to spend from week to week to week. Those categories will not change. Again, I'm going to give the example of groceries, food, dining out, Target, household items, etc., miscellaneous, etc. Those are going to be considered cash envelopes. Sinking funds are what is considered to be short or long-term savings goals. So you don't plan to spend them immediately. However, you're saving for something short-term or long-term, okay? I have a self-care envelope, and in that sinking fund, I stuff money because I know I'm going to need my hair done once a month. I'm going to need a manicure, a pedicure. I'm going to want to buy some facial products. I use that self-care envelope as a sinking fund to stuff money for things that I know that I am going to buy. I don't need to buy those things every week, but if I'm going to be saving once a month, I'm going to make sure that I have all the money I need that's going to cover those expenses from month to month to month. Now, another example of a sinking fund is your vacation. So, next year you're going to go on vacation, you want to save $5,000. So every time you get paid, you're going to determine how much of your paycheck is going to go towards your sinking fund for vacation to help you accomplish your goal of $5,000. So that is the difference between cash envelopes and sinking funds, but they're all envelopes that you're stuffing with cash. So my next advice on how to start cash stuffing is now you need to determine how frequent or how often you're going to stuff money. Okay, myself, I am a paycheck budgeter. I get paid every week. So every week I do my budget based on my paycheck, based on my income, and I budget out that money and determine how much is going to go into my cash envelopes and my sinking funds. Now, some of my cash envelopes amount, they're variable spending, they're variable amounts, so the amounts can change. I don't give the same amount every time. It depends. My grocery budget can fluctuate from $200 to $250 on a weekly basis. Overall, for the month, I budget $1,000 on groceries, but I can sometimes only spend $800. But for my monthly budget, I will say I budget to spend $1,000 on groceries. Sometimes I go over, sometimes I'm under. But you need to determine how frequent you're going to stuff your cash envelopes. So you can do that weekly. If you pay weekly, if you're paid bi-weekly, you can do it bi-weekly. You can even do it monthly if you're that disciplined and you can control your spending from month to month to month. I recommend budgeting per paycheck. Every time you get money, you want to decide and know what you're going to do with that money. I would not say wait and plan money ahead of time. Don't plan to spend money before you get it. Wait till you get that money in hand and you spend that money. You determine how often you're going to cash stuff. So you sit down and think about it. Even if you get paid weekly, you might say, I only want to cash stuff every 2 weeks. So in that case, every pay or 2 pays, you'll pull out enough money to last you for 2 weeks because you're only going to stuff for 2 weeks. So you have to think about how much am I going to spend over the next 2 weeks and make sure that amount is in your envelopes, if that makes sense. The frequency of your cash stuffing depends on your discipline with your money, how well you're sticking to your budget, and then how often you're paid or you happen to get money. My next piece of advice, of course, we discussed this. Now that you've determined your frequency, now you need to determine how much you're going to put in those spending categories. And again, that is based on your budget. We did go over that. But you need those amounts in order to start cash stuffing. And again, like I said, that is a very popular question, but you determine that based on your budget. We've already accomplished a lot, and I've given you some advice on how to start cash stuffing. I've let you know you need a budget. You need to track your spending to know how much you're going to be spending. You need to determine your frequency. Now let's get into something a little bit more fun. And this is one of my favorite things. If you're familiar with So Crafty Sanai, then you know that my website and my shop is created and dedicated to making your budgeting cash stuffing experience fun, okay? And it's not necessary that you have any of these. Let me say first that all you need to start cash stuffing is a pencil and paper and a calculator to determine your budget, white mailing envelopes and a marker to write the labels on. You can even use a pencil. So you don't necessarily need to buy anything. I'm sure you can find everything you need already in your house. However, for those who like to spruce it up a bit, like to make it a little bit more engaging and entertaining, let's talk about the tools that you could use to cash stuff. All the rave all over YouTube, you see the budgeters with the cash envelope wallets, the budget books, the cash envelope binders, the sinking fund binders, the savings challenges, like you name it. But it wouldn't be fair if I did not mention that So Crafty Sanai has all the budgeting tools and things to make this experience seamless for you. Our payday budget book, of course, it's a step-by-step guide to help you create your budget and then do your weekly paychecks, bi-weekly, monthly, however you see fit. Now, I'll link all of those things down below. I'll even put some, if you look here, we have what's the cash envelope wallets here. Those are the tools that you don't need but it makes it fun and interacting. I tell people all the time, do things that are going to be engaging to you. Do things that are going to be fun. Everything doesn't have to feel like a chore. When you do something and it feels like a chore, it seems like a hardship, right? And I learned that early on. I was always told to do things, and although they were for my benefit, I didn't necessarily understand. I had to find a creative way to do the things that I need to do. I needed to make it a little bit more fun, a little bit more interactive. Everybody just doesn't learn by just sitting and reading and looking. Some people need to be engaged a little bit more. So Crafty Sanaa and the tools that I'm telling you about are to be a little bit more engaging and make you want to manage your money better. We are on our way to success. I swear by the end of this video, you all will be cash stuffing. You all be, well, maybe we need to watch how to create a budget first. So I'll get that video out next on how to create a budget and then the different types of budgets. But now that we are at the end of the battle, right? We're there. What you need to do is make time, and this is another big piece of advice on how to start cash stuffing. You need to make the time to review your budget. You need to take the time to review your money. And I want to say either daily, weekly, bi-weekly. I would not suggest looking at your budget once a month. That is something that you need to have eyes on at all times. If you're using a notepad to keep your budget, keep that notepad at your desk, by your bed, so that you can get in the habit of seeing is believing. Seeing it is the reality of it. Your money on paper is going to sink in, and it's going to make you say, you know what? I spent too much money here. I realized I did this. Like, take the time to review your budget. Me personally, I am in my budget book daily because number one, I'm tracking my expenses daily. Number two, I'm going over what I spent so far midweek. So I'll take my cash envelope wallet and I'll go through and see how much I spent so far this week, make sure all of my expense trackers are fully written out and that the amounts in my envelopes match up. Okay, so I'm in my wallet every day, but I take an overall look at that midweek. And then by the end of the week, when it's time for me to start preparing for a new budget, I am determining what I have left over that I did not spend. And I'm going to move that money over into a buffer envelope because I did not spend it. And then it's time for me to start a new budget. I'm getting ready to prepare for my next budget, how much my income is for that pay period, and then the new amounts I'm going to cash up. It is important that you take time to review your budget very frequently. I can't stress enough how important it is to make sure you are looking at your spending, you're tracking your expenses, and you're taking a look at that budget because you'll find little ways to, even if it's, oh, I can lower a bill. Oh, I need to cancel this bill. So you want to make sure that you're taking a look at your budget and how you're cash stuffing your money and how you're spending your money. Okay, so I've shared with you my biggest piece of advice on how to start cash stuffing. So listen, it's a work in progress, okay? It is a work in progress, and you will oftentimes go over budget. You may. I go over budget all the time, but I am not going to give up. I have been budgeting and cash stuffing since 2019. Okay. And I've went through various budgets, different budgeting styles, different cash envelope spending categories, different sinking fund categories. To date, I have 53 sinking funds. And well, I lump my sinking funds and cash envelopes together. So altogether, the number of envelopes I have, whether it's cash envelopes or sinking fund, I have 53. I have decided that I need a cash envelope or sinking fund for every possible thing I could spend my money on. So that way, nothing I spend comes from nowhere. I have a sinking fund or a cash envelope to cover whatever I'm going to spend it on. So, and again, that works for me. Some people have 20, some people have 10. Your budget is personal to you. How you manage your money and stuff your cash is based on your needs. So, like I said, we are halfway there. I've shared my biggest piece of advice. You're going to make a lot of adjustments along the way. And I recommend you adjust your budget at least once a month because as you control and manage your money, you'll see that, oh, I don't need to give this amount here. I can spend more here. Oh, I can save more. I can pay off debt more. It's whatever is considered to be a priority and a goal for you. But you will make lots of adjustments. I fall off my budget numerous times, but I don't get up. If I mess my budget up this month, I'm going to still create a new budget next month in every paycheck, and I'm going to try to adhere to it. It's not perfect. For some people, you look and it's like, oh, they're the perfect budgeters, they're the perfect cash stuffers. And it's like, that's not my life, right? I know that I like to shop. I spend money more than I should, but I have the money to spend. So that's the thing. I'm not spending money I don't have. Just because I'm swiping a credit card doesn't mean I don't have the money in the bank to pay the credit card back. And that's what I usually do. If it's a large expense, something I'm purchasing, I don't have that amount of cash on me. I'm going to pull that money from my checking account. And that is okay. You can still have money in your checking account. You can still have money in your savings account. It doesn't mean you don't have any money whatsoever because you're cash stuffing. It just means you're going to control the money that you have readily available to you. You're going to control that money and determine where it's going to go. Like, listen, it is a journey, but you will accomplish your goals if you stick to what I'm advising you to do. You will accomplish your goals, and you can take tips and tricks from a lot of different budgeters and then compile the right way for you. I had to learn along the way. I watched this one, and this one. I determined, oh, I want this, I want that. And I said, you know what? I need to create everything for me, and I need to customize everything for me. So that is how I originally got to understand and became to understand what my budgeting style is. I am one that spends a lot. I am one that has a lot of cash envelope sinking funds. That works for me, and I am successful at what I do. I am saving money. I am managing my money. I am budgeting. I am cash stuffing. So you can do the same. So, I mean, it's a lot to take in. I hope you were able to learn something from this video. Again, I am going to do a video on how to create a budget and then the different budgeting styles. And after that, everyone should be well on their way to managing their money successfully. Thank you all for sticking with me through this video. I hope it wasn't too long. Again, I hope some of you were able to benefit from this video. Again, please catch me in my next video, how to create a budget. You guys, I am determined to help you on your way. All of the descriptions for anything that I may have mentioned are down below, and the links to my website are down below, and any other information I have. This actual video topic is a newsletter, a blog, so I will link the blog down below. Please subscribe to my email. If you're not, subscribe to my channel. Like this video. If you would like to see more of videos like this, please leave me comments down below, and I will try to make more videos that you guys need and want. All right, bye-bye.